Argentina. Thank you very much for the recording for Mirta, Ison, who is going to talk with us about the Mendoza School Intervention, experience focused on initial education teacher. Mirta has a PhD in psychology and a master's in clinical psychology of the Comprehensive Cognitive Behavioral Orientation, National University of St. Louis, a bachelor degree from Aconcagua University in Mendoza, and currently is principal investigator with CONICET. She's the director of doctoral studies in psychology and director of Research Institute of the Faculty of Psychology at the Aconcagua University. Full member of the Argentinian Association of Behavioral Sciences, member of the Inter-American Society of Psychology, and member of the American Psychological Association. Mirta is also full professor of child development psychology, experience in child and adolescent development psychology, and specifically in socio-cognitive and emotional skills for school children. She has published scientific articles in national and international index journals, book chapters, co-authored 2 books, and has been an exhibitor at national and international scientific events. Directions of research for CONICET scholars, direction of doctoral and master's thesis, and direction of completed theses, direction of research groups, and the current line of research is family and school social climate, incidence and development of socio-cognitive and affective skills in children in the province of Mendoza in Argentina. Mirta has also presented at the Oxford Symposium before, and we are very happy to see her with us today. Joining Mirta is Daniela Fernandez González, who received her degree in psychology and is a research specialist in social and human sciences. Daniela is a teacher and researcher in psychology colleges at Aconcagua University. Daniela is also a psychopedagogical coordinator at the local education department in Argentina. And we welcome you as well, Daniela, for today's presentation. Over to you, Mirta. Looking forward to listening to your presentation.
Okay, Gertina, thank you very much. Before I begin, I would like to express my gratitude to the 2024 Oxford Symposium organizers for the invitation to participate in it. Today, I am accompanied by Julieta Greco, a colleague who will help me interpret your questions so that I can give you the answers. Well, I share my screen.
There we are. Okay.
Yes?
Yes, everything is fine.
Okay. I would like to talk to you today about school intervention and experience focused on initial education teachers before and during pandemic. Generally, the damage that these 2 years of pandemic have had on people's daily life is evident, affecting health, work, routines, care, emotions, and bonds, deepening social gaps and inequalities. In particular, school continuity and the educational trajectories of children and young people were deeply affected by the suspension of face-to-face classes in schools. Changes has been observed in students at an emotional level, in the configuration of the study routine, in interpersonal relationship, and in performance levels in school learning, among others. In order to guarantee the continuity of the teaching and learning processes, government school institutions have had to reorient, organize, and plan curricular contents and the activities of obligatory school trajectory using alternative means of presential classes. This has generated significant change both in families and in the educational system. Families have had to generate major reorganization due to the suspension of the face-to-face classes. The phenomenon of schooling of domestic life has resulted in the domestic sphere time, organization turning into a school's space-time. Thus, school structure has been recreated in the domestic sphere. Families that have had more time and school knowledge have had advantages over others. The role of teachers has also been reconfigured. They have had to face multiple challenges, such as appropriating the use of technologies, reorganizing their teaching modalities, prioritizing curricular content and school activities, and having adequate devices with access to connectivity, among others. The initial level is the first step within the Argentine educational system that, among other functions, tries to reduce inequalities at the beginning, favor interaction experiences to contribute to the autonomy of the student, and promote the development of motor, linguistic, cognitive, and socio-emotional abilities. Within the school context, the role of teachers as mediator of knowledge is essential to promote and enrich the learning potential of children. For this, it is necessary for the teacher to diversify, expand, and enrich their own practice and pedagogical experiences that make it possible to generate facilitating conditions and opportunities for learning in children. Since 2017, our team has been working in coordination with the director of Initial Education of the province of Mendoza, Argentina, in a project called Integral Initial Level Pilot Project, PINI in Spanish. The objective of PINI was to promote successful educational trajectories in children of 4 and 5 years, linking general classroom session with physical education and music education through the training of classroom physical and music education teachers. The ultimate goal was to provide teachers with theoretical practical tools on socio-cognitive and emotional functioning in childhood so that they could implement stimulation strategies with their students. Our research team participated in 3 central axes of the PINI. The first, training for pre-primary school directors and teachers. Second, design and elaboration of stimulation program. And the last, evaluation of the effectiveness of the applied program. The program consists of 8 theoretical practical modules, each of which addresses different themes. Each module has a theoretical foundation to support a series of practical activities described in a stimulation booklet entitled Strategies to Strengthen Cognitive and Socio-Emotional Functioning in Initial Education. This booklet works as a working guide for the teacher in order to stimulate the socio-cognitive and emotional functions in their students through playful activities. In the modules, the activities were organized in an order to increase difficulty from level A to level C. The intention was to generate cognitive challenges in the children, but at the same time, to respect the development of individual trajectories in each of them. The teachers began to work with the activities of level A, and once the child had successfully carried out this activity, they went to the next level and so on. The program lasted six months and was incorporated as part of the activities of the school curriculum, working daily on the socio-cognitive and emotional functions through recreational activities based on the activities described in the stimulation booklets. For their part, the teachers guide and monitor the development of the activities, scaffolding that knowledge, giving positive feedback, trying to maintain the motivation of the group, and promoting emotional self-regulation in their students. The teachers could creatively incorporate other activities, allowing their work to be adjusted to the characteristic of the group of children. The focus was on stimulating group function for strengthening effective action. Under this conceptual framework, this work has two objectives. The first was to explore the grade of acceptance of teachers regarding the training process on socio-cognitive and emotional skills carried out by our team, both before and during the pandemic. The second was to analyze the teachers' perception of the socio-cognitive and emotional performance of their students after they implemented the program. The total sample consisted of 56 initial level teachers, that is in charge of 4- and 5-year-old classes. All teachers responded to an online survey in order to explore the level of acceptance of teachers regarding the training process on socio-cognitive and emotional skills. In 2019, 44 teachers responded to the survey. During the pandemic, 32 teachers responded to the survey. This survey was organized into 3 blocks of questions. The first block refers to whether the work material was clear, precise, and relevant to the objective, whether significant improvements in student performance were observed with the implementation of the program, whether the teacher training was useful and relevant, whether the management by the professional in charge of the project was satisfactory, whether the work of evaluation and accompaniment of the professional has been satisfactory, whether it was considered important and pertinent to give continuity to the project in their institution, and finally, whether the families of the student received the PINI project with enthusiasm and positive predisposition. The second block consisted of inquiring about which process or set of processes that the teacher perceived or noticed improvement on. And the third block, teachers could suggest aspects to improve on the implementation of the PINI. The result of the evaluation carried out by the 56 in relation to the training process before and during the pandemic are presented. Before the pandemic, 79% of teachers were satisfied or very satisfied with the training process. However, 21% disagree with their training processes. Despite the difficulties experienced during the pandemic, 97% of teachers indicated that they were satisfied with the training program received, and one of them responded that they neither agree nor disagree. Before the pandemic, 79% of teachers observed significant improvement in all these aspects. But during the pandemic period, all the teachers confirmed that have observed significant improvement in their students' performance. And moreover, all the teachers consider that the project should continue in the coming years. When comparing the answer given by the teachers before and during the pandemic, it was observed that during the pandemic, the teacher valued all aspects better. In the context of pandemic, what aspect intervened to have a greater number of teachers who satisfactorily perceive the training received for implementing the stimulation program with their students? It could be believed that several aspects converge. One of them was the PINI project, in which the socio-cognitive and emotional skills program was inserted. It has been developing since 2018 in the schools selected by the Directorate of Initial Education. This allowed the teachers to appropriate the program and the suggested activities, which were gradually articulated by the teachers to the school curriculum. Thus, they creatively incorporated activities proposed by themselves, adapting and enriching the program according to the needs of their students. In response to the situation of isolation, our team held monthly online meetings with teachers, through which the implementation of the strengthening program was monitored. In these meetings, not only cognitive and emotional aspects of their students were addressed, but also other emerging issues such as the emotional situation and the concerns of the teachers. In other words, these meetings also collaborated to help teachers manage their own emotions, fears, insecurities, and situations shared by all the actors in the educational community. Interventions in the medium and long term require extensive teacher training and a constant review of material for the implementation of the strengthening program. The basis for this program is that socio-cognitive and emotional skills could be enhanced in early educational settings by promoting quality teacher-child interaction through appropriate scaffolding and support practices. Likewise, knowing the theoretical foundation that supports the teacher's practice collaborate not only in the systematic application of these stimulation devices, but also in the teacher's conviction in their implementation. Concerning the second objective, the teacher's perception of their students' socio-cognitive and emotional performance after they have implemented the program was examined. Before the pandemic, teachers didn't perceive improvement in their students in all the items related to the recognition of emotions, while in the other socio-cognitive skills, they did perceive improvement. During the pandemic period, the teachers, in addition to observing improvement in socio-cognitive performance, perceived changes in the emotional manifestation of their students. Thus, they observed that a high percentage of their students managed to recognize their own emotions and have emotional control. In the training sessions carried out during the pandemic, our team highlighted the importance of scaffolding processes in the expression of emotions and the role they play in interpersonal relationships with friends and significant adults. In turn, it was highlighted how emotions interacted with cognitive functions. Likewise, conducting monthly webinars with teachers from different institutions encourage exchanging of experiences according to the different realities, share innovative strategies, and establishing a support network among themselves. This aspect may have collaborated to teachers focusing on the emotional perception of their students and not only on cognitive changes. One of the effective resources is being able to identify which emotion or set of emotions arise in a specific situation. Studies carried out in Argentina on teachers' perception and emotions show that the emotional state they experienced at the start of non-to-face classes was one of confidence to cope with this challenge. However, at the same time, they felt stress, anxiety, and fear of assuming the responsibility of online educational tasks. In addition to this, the low salaries of teachers represent another stressful factor that influences the educational system. Before and during the pandemic period, teachers suggested improvement in certain aspects of the program. Taking into account all these aspects, the willingness of teachers to actively intervene in the teaching and learning processes, in the search for strategies to scaffold and support the progress of their students, and in highlighting the importance of effective bond, interaction, and contact with others should be highlighted. During the conclusions, during the pandemic, the role of educators has been revalued because they were essential actors to facilitate and scaffold learning in their students, giving continuity and sustaining the teaching and learning processes. The passage to virtuality produced a change in the daily educational practices of the teacher. The learning and affective bonds that were generated in the context of the schools during the pandemic have to be managed online. From this perspective, we emphasize the role of teachers during the pandemic who had to quickly adopt a distant education modality. They have to incorporate digital resources with new material and tool, develop skills and abilities in the management and use of information and communication technologies, adapt the curriculum, and prioritize the teaching and evaluation of certain content over others. Under these circumstances, the teacher had to adapt the implementation of the program for the strengthening of socio-cognitive and emotional skills in their students through a reconfiguration of their own personal and technological possibilities, but also those that the social family context allowed. Those families that had greater resources and possibilities for communication through electronic devices were more likely to accompany their children through the implementation of the program compared to those families with fewer opportunities. In this case, we highlight the attitude of the teachers so that children with fewer resources and opportunities could also carry out the activities, such as sending photocopies or videos showing the task or game in online classes. Finally, this year, we would like to highlight that our program on socio-cognitive and emotional skill is part of an expanded program called 100 Preschool Classroom of the General Directorate of School of the Province of Mendoza. Its objective is to train teachers at the initial level, especially from schools that work with vulnerable populations. We are currently training approximately 180 initial level teachers, which for our team represent a challenge and a commitment to support the educational trajectories of children from the most disadvantaged sector of our province. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mirta. This was impressive and very well presented. And you should not worry about your English. It is great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Georgina. You are a lovely person.
Oh, as always, we must just build the confidence. That is what we need as second language speakers. Thank you very much. Any questions? I was thinking maybe, Victoria, you would like to comment?
Yes, I apologize if the chat function is distracting. I just wanted to note that some of the comparisons that you made before and during the pandemic showed impressive, so spectacular improvements on already very impressive results. So I wanted to congratulate you on that. And I was wondering, but you did give explanations about how you explain, oops, did we lose? Or I lost you on that.
No, you're still there.
Yeah. What were some of the explanations that that you were giving, having had direct experience in teaching in all these different modalities? I was humorously, but not entirely, saying that the mute all button, especially with 4 to 5-year-olds, may have had something to do with just an increased focus and also the ability of the teacher to control what is on the screen and to focus children's attention to something. So perhaps that might have played a role. Having also had a tiny one during the pandemic at home, I realized how important parents were in being there and making sure the child sustained attention. So a lot of factors beyond specifically a curriculum would have been at play. But it's wonderful to see. It's great to see the rigor with which you're quantifying things. It is very inspiring. And I will be inspired by your work in trying to find evidence for the kind of work that I'm doing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Victoria. Yes, I think that the role of the teacher, but also the role of parent was important to guide children in this special moment of a pandemic. Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, Kathy, you have a question, and then we'll go to Rita.
Okay, it's more of a comment, Mirta. I remember sitting with you and Selena 2 or 3 years ago, and you were questioning your ability to master the English language then. And what I want to say is you get an A today. It was so well done, just so well done. But I also wanted to commend you on not just the quality of the research design, but the partnerships that you have really helped initiate through this project among teachers and healthcare practitioners. That we've been talking this morning about integrating Western and Eastern cultures and the ability to collaborate together, to work together. And I think the research design you did, and clearly the results are an affirmation about the value of such collaboration. So thank you. It was wonderful.
Thank you very much. Now we have the South American culture as well.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have Rita and then Brian.
Hi, yes, I just wanted to say, great presentation. I think me being a parent and then also being in the school site, I'm able to now see more of how everything went, the interaction we as parents, the interaction we as counselors. But I'm also happy that now schools are, excuse me, it's really early in the morning over here. But I appreciate now the interaction and how everybody kind of took from this and the way you were showing and demonstrating before and after the effects. And now we're still learning more about how COVID has affected many students, you know, and I appreciate just showing us a quick representation this morning because, you know, school's about to start here in California next week. And now this is a ground that we're able to talk about more, see what we can do, see what changes we can make, you know, this opportunity of change and opportunity of growth. And as Victoria said earlier, parents, teachers, everybody played a huge portion of this. So I want to say thank you for this morning presentation. And I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you very much.
Okay, we move to Brian.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, you want to continue, Mirta?
No, the role of teacher that in this situation was very interesting. Your actuación.
Your performance.
Your performance, thank you. Your performance, yes. Thank you.
Okay, Brian.
Thank you, Mirta, for this wonderful presentation on the program on socio-cognitive and emotional skills. And it's a reminder that the first well-known school-based family counselor, Alfred Adler, placed a special emphasis on the role of teachers in promoting student well-being and working with families and teachers together. And he used to do demonstrations in auditoriums adjacent to schools where he would do a demonstration with the teachers and also with the parents together. And Adlerians, if you're familiar with their work, they write about how teachers can do interventions and how parents can do interventions to help children. And Mirta, your presentation is a reminder of the important role that teachers play in school-based family counseling. And in several of the books that we now have on school-based family counseling, when we list who does school-based family counseling, teachers are always listed there. And so this is a reminder of the importance of that. And it sort of fits with the presentation we had yesterday from EdCamp Ukraine, where they talked about how teachers are doing social-emotional learning with the students and with the families. And because many of us in the Oxford Symposium are mental health professionals, we need to be very mindful of the critical role that our teacher members do. The final comment I have to make is, what amazing slides. Those were like the most beautiful. It was like a textbook on how to do slides to keep people's attention and not have overwhelming information. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you. Thank you.